I guess first question is, how surprising is this? We don't see a lot of two-term governors here. I wonder what you thought, whether you were surprised when Stephen Poloz said he would go.
Yeah, I don't think it was a surprise. Poloz had mused about the possibility of staying around earlier this year, but largely the expectation was that he would be a one-term governor, particularly given his age. He's 64 years old. Another 7 years would take him beyond 70. So no one really expected him to stay beyond June. There was some question about whether if we did enter some type of kind of a recession that the government may want some continuity there, but that doesn't seem to be the base case, and he officially announced that he's leaving after many months of speculation.
Well, the timing was a little unfortunate, Theo, given the jobs data out of Canada today. They were really awful. There was negative job creation and a lot of it. Will there be a change in the type of monetary policy that the Bank of Canada engages in with the next governor?
Yeah, I mean, right now for the Bank of Canada, the question is whether they want to follow all this global easing that has occurred elsewhere. The Canadian Central Bank under Poloz has been an outlier. It was one of the few banks that actually normalized interest rates in 2017, 2018, hiked 5 times over that period as the Canadian economy finally showed signs of fully recovering from the collapse of oil prices in 2015. And Poloz has been very reluctant to reverse course. Those were hard-fought gains for Poloz. So whether he is forced to cut before he leaves, markets aren't really anticipating that the next 3 or so rate decisions that he's going to oversee we'll see a rate cut. Whether someone will come in and change course is a possibility, but at the same time, Canada is unique in the world with extremely high debt levels, among the highest in the world, certainly the highest in the G7. So that it limits how much Canadian policymakers can actually cut interest rates.
So when we take it on balance, it's obviously he's around for a little longer, Theo. It's too late to do the eulogies just yet. But just in terms of how he'll be rated, I mean, on the one hand, he got offside by raising rates when others were lowering, but it didn't hurt the Canadian dollar, right? Our export dollar stayed, right where you might say you want it, which is kind of mid-70s. So how do you think people will say in total Stephen Poloz did?
I think they're going to say he did really well. I mean, by kind of one measure, which is, how do you want to grade central bankers, where you want inflation to be low and you want the economy to be near capacity? And that's where the Canadian economy is right now. So inflation is on target. It's at 2%. It has been at 2% for a while. And the Canadian economy is running very near capacity. So by that measure, Canada's economy is doing well. And Poloz, who was very dovish early on in his mandate, is responsible for that. On the flip side, of course, the cost of keeping rates low for a long part of his tenure before the rate hikes in 2017 is that Canadians continue to take on debt. So that burden is going to weigh on the economy going forward, and it will be a constraint on the next governor. So overall, the economy has done well, and he's going to be given credit for that. But the Canadian economy will have to, at one point, figure out how it's going to overcome this massive household debt burden.